Yo, what's up, Summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan Ng, and today we'll be talking about our predictions for the 15 most broken champions on patch 11.23, aka the Season 12 preseason patch. One of the most important things in a constantly evolving game like League of Legends is to be able to adapt with the meta, and that's why we're here for you. If you know what's going to be OP before the patch hits, you'll be ready to hit the ground running without having to test and see if one buff or nerf really made that much of a difference. And if you don't know how to play any of these OP picks, or you're just a little bit rusty, this will give you some time and a few days to brush up on them and some normals or honest smurf. Before we get started, I just want to say that this list is not in any particular order, and also I'm really sorry if my voice seems tired because I've been up for 25 hours and don't ask me why. Maybe it was grinding ranks, maybe it's because I have no self-respect, but those might be the same thing. Anyway, it's just a list of champions that we think are going to be some of the strongest and most influential picks on this patch. We'll start things off with Maokai. Maokai has been a pretty strong yet underplayed top laner this season, but it's been largely overshadowed by Maokai's support. His sapling spam and point and click engage has made him way too consistent of a pick in that role this season. But thanks to the addition of Thimble Winter, top lane Maokai is going to be considerably stronger and hopefully more popular on this patch. The low cooldown on his CC means that you'll get a lot of efficiency out of this item through all the shields. And as an added bonus, it means that you can build tier early, so you can never run out of mana in the laning phase. Whether you're trying to learn how to abuse the broken champions on this list or learn how to deal with them when you just end up on the wrong side of the matchup, if you really want to speed up the process, you should check out ProGuides.com. We have courses from all your favorite streamers and pros like Core JJ, Aframu, and Xmithy to really help you understand how to play your role. And if you want a more personalized experience, we have coaches available 24/7. That's available as much as Denny's. And like Denny's, ProGuides is also the best place to be. Unsponsored, by the way. The coaches are ready to help you become the best. Our coaches are top tier players that have spent years climbing the solo queue ladder to get where they are now, and they're ready to share everything that they've learned with you. So stop spinning your wheels on your own and get back on the fast track to higher elo today. Now let's get back on topic, shall we? The second champion that we're going to be talking about is Lux. The buffs that she got recently have been treating her quite nicely. She's one of the few mages that are safe as a blind pick. With the addition of Crown of Shattered Queen, she'll be even safer into those really scary enemy comps. That being said, you'll still prefer glass cannon builds most of the time to maximize your one-shot potential when you catch squishy opponents out with a Q. This patch may mark the beginning of preseason 12, and a new season generally means huge changes, but one thing that isn't changing is how OP Camille is. She's still gonna slice through squishy and tanky targets alike, and that likely won't be changing until we get some big nerfs to Divine Sunderer or buffs to champions that hard counter her. So playing a champion who is good in lane, good in teamfights, and good at split pushing is your thing, learn her, and abuse your way to whatever elo you're aiming for. Another champion that will continue to be OP is Graves. The new dragons are cool, but since they don't necessarily affect the jungle meta too much, what's OP will still remain OP. Graves is able to power farm early, using his range to bully out most opponents. And those that can't be bullied, he can just easily farm and steer clear of. Usually having an ADC in the jungle means that your team fighting is a little bit iffy, but since the top lane meta is being shifted more towards a tank heavy pool this patch, you should still have a pretty decent comp most games if that ends up mattering. LeBlanc is a champion with a pretty high skill cap, so she isn't for everybody. But if you are good at her and you just like to be annoying, she's great for hard carrying games. Once she has 11, one-shotting a squishy target on the enemy team is just a matter of landing pretty much any 3 spells. Generally speaking, your goal is to do this right before an objective spawns to make securing said objective easy for your team. But there's one current issue with LeBlanc. She lacks an aggressive second item option after getting a mythic. Magi is good if you can get stacks, but the item itself doesn't provide much until then. The usual option is Cosmic Drive for CDR, but with the addition of Shadow Flame, it gives you a Magic Pen option. This will allow you to consistently one-shot targets in the mid-game, even if they have a pocket support following them around. Our next pick is Kogma. Kogma is already a really solid pick, but one thing that is really catching our eye is Kogma with the new lethal tempo. Oftentimes when a Kogma turns on his W, the enemy team will try to react by kiting back out of the fight, but with the new lethal tempo now granting some extra range, you'll be able to pelt them from even further away as they try to retreat. Another instance of lethal tempo Cog being quite OP is when you can't really get in range of the enemy backline. You can auto-attack an enemy tank a few times to ramp up your stacks and then gain bonus range, then target swap if there are any high priority targets in range. Speaking of lethal tempo, something that we've been seeing some experimentation with is running that on our next pick, Yasuo. It's not something that you want to run every single game. For example, when you're fighting it out to the death with a melee champion, Conqueror might be a lot better. But when dealing with a ranged champion that may try to kite you out, this feels pretty good and you want to at least give it a try. Like Graves earlier, Rek'Sai will be remaining an S tier pick simply because there isn't that much changing in the jungle ecosystem as a whole yet. Her early ganking power will still remain insanely impactful, especially in the zoo that we call solo queue, and you will still often see her snowball out of control before her opposing jungler really begins to interact with the lanes. Another mid laner that we have for you is Xerath. Xerath's changes early this year upped how hard his poke hits, but he still struggles to deal with hard dive if he isn't getting any peel. The addition of Crown of the Shattered Queen does a lot to help there. With this new mythic giving you a pseudo Malzahar passive, you'll be a lot safer against assassins and bruisers who dive onto you. Of course, against low threat comps, you'll still want to go the glass cannon build to maximize your poke, but it's really just up to preference. Taking a look at the bot lane, Jhin will remain a top tier, super popular pick. The bot lane meta for the start of the preseason is currently slated to remain pretty much exactly the same. Aside from lethal tempo, there aren't really any big system changes aimed at the bot lane. There are a few changes to the things that supports may want to build and run, but that shouldn't really affect which ADCs are being played too much. So Jhin will remain a really solid pick if you really like to bully the lane hard and have at least a little bit of self-sufficiency out of lane, using his burst of movement speed to really kite threats to death. If you're looking for an OP support to play this preseason, you may want to pick up Leona. She's a popular support for a reason. She makes for a great kill lane partner, becoming deadly as early as level 2. Out of lane, her ability to engage fights and make picks are unparalleled. Her ultimate's cast range is surprisingly high, reaching almost across the screen. Plus, it has a really low cooldown, so you can fish for a catch pretty often. Her Q and E have really low cooldowns, so you're able to spam your CC and be a disruptive force a lot in teamfights. So you're too annoying for the enemy team to just ignore. But at the same time, her W makes her ridiculously tanky, so they can't really exactly melt you either. A champion that I personally really hate to see become a popular pick in this meta is Vladimir. He's already doing really well in this assassin-heavy meta that we're in, and with the new Cosmic Drive, I think he's gonna get a little bit stronger. If you haven't already seen what it does, the new Cosmic Drive gives a burst of movement speed and AP when you damage an opponent 3 times. That is absolutely insane for Vlad, since the hardest part about teamfighting is actually getting into the middle of the brawl. They also double the health that Cosmic Drive gives, making it an even more attractive item for this Bruiser Mage Assassin one-shot tank. It's a lot of roles, but he fills them all pretty well. Our next pick is Tryndamere. He's always been one of those champions that you see a lot in low elo, but due to his really simple kit, generally not so much in higher levels of play. Well, that is until people caught on to how broken Tryndamere mid really is. He can either win or at least go even in almost all lanes, and then as the game goes on, he becomes completely untouchable for any opponent. This makes him a complete terror to deal with. The enemy team pretty much always has to send 2 champions to deal with him, and when they do, he can just spin right out or just kill one and trade for the other. Then he just goes and counter jungles and makes his way across the map to do the same thing over and over and over again. As an extra note, while it's not coming out this patch, when they do add the new dragons, the Chemtech Dragon will be also very good on Tryndamere, as it synergizes perfectly with his ultimate. To me, Tryndamere is one of the most annoying champions to deal with in the game. When he's fed, he can spin in and then just 2-shot any squishy champions with no effort or mechanics required, yet alone counterplay. But if he's not fed, or your team simply has too much CC for him to do anything, it's not like you've shut him down. He just runs to his side lane and perma-splits. Then you're running around constantly trying to stop him, and the rest of his team takes an objective on the other side of the map. It just feels like there's nothing that you can really do. That brings us to today's question of the day. What champion do you find the most annoying to play against? Let us know your answers in the comments down below and tell us why. Another mid laner that we think will continue to be super OP this patch is Kayle. Her win rate in Plat Plus is currently about 53.5%. That may not sound that ridiculous, but remember, picking Kayle basically guarantees that you'll be losing lane for at least the first 5 levels. And even after that, you'll just be farming with pretty much no matchups giving you priority. If a champion can win that often when conceding lane against all opponents, it just shows how consistent of a carry she is when you really know how to get to use her in the later stages of the game. And we think the new lethal tempo is really gonna up her carry potential. The way the attack speed stacks up and is permanent now instead of just being timer based means that it's a much better option for putting out consistent DPS. And of course, the bonus range is absolutely insane, especially once you get the extra 75 range from fully transcending at level 16. This one is a bit more of a theory crafty, untested one than the others on this list, but we think Glacial Augment Nunu may be the new meta. Nunu's keystones are already like a revolving door, with there being already a preferred pick pretty much every single patch, so you don't really know which one is going to be the best at the moment. The new Glacial Augment will activate its slow raise anytime you can land your W, which sets you up nicely to land your E and your ultimate. Remember, the slow raise also reduces the damage that enemies standing on them put out, so it's basically a mini exhaust, and you'll be able to get a ton of value out of this thing in teamfights. Again, this is something that we need to test more, but we'd love to hear about what you guys think, so give it a go and come back and let us know how it goes. That about wraps things up for our predictions for the 15 most broken champions on patch 11.23. you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure you sub so you never miss out on content like this. Remember, let us know which champion you find the most annoying to deal with down in the comments below. Oh, and one last thing. Don't forget to check out our Discord in the description box below, where you can go ahead and discuss things further, or just hang out and be a part of our community. I can't wait to see you guys back in the next patch, but until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.